Begin a 30-day free trial of Audible.com and enjoy more original groundbreaking series, including 100 to 1, Crack Legacy, a must-hear audio documentary on the real fallout of the 80s drug war. Join today, earn a free audiobook, and discover all that Audible has to offer.
The arrest of Wall Street legend Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Because this is a man that done stole more money than anybody else. We're talking about anybody else? One old man?
He bought all the hot chocolates and sold them for a stamp. He cornered the market on hot chocolate.
Fuck my victim. I done gave him all that money. They gave me 150 years.
You wrote back and you asked if he would talk to you. And I said I like him.
I got it! The first time I spoke with Bernie Madoff was a Sunday evening. The New York Jets had finally made the playoffs, and I'm watching the game. My two young sons chase each other around my Manhattan apartment. Then, my home phone rings. My home phone never rings. I glance at the caller ID. Butner, North Carolina, where Bernie Madoff is serving 150 years. I pick up the phone. That first call wasn't recorded, and so it's a bit hazy in my memory. I do remember this thought. Oh my God, it's Bernie Madoff on my home phone. The supervillain I'd been stalking for a couple years. He hadn't told his full story to anyone. In the background, my kids are now screaming, "Hey, shut up," I yell. It's Bernie Madoff. I scramble for a pen. I find a scrap of paper to take notes. I adjust my voice, even paced, alert, but nonchalant, conversational. And then we hit the 15-minute mark. Click. The call ends mid-sentence. Okay, now I dash around the apartment, hunt for a tape recorder. Oh, there's a cheap digital in the closet on a shelf. Okay, I run back to the phone, test the recorder.
Hello.
Inmates can talk for 15 minutes and then, for reasons I don't understand, Bernie has to wait 15 minutes before he can call again. I hover by the phone. Wait.
An inmate at a federal prison. To hear the cost of this call, press 8 now.
Bernie.
Yeah, hi, Steve.
Hi.
You got cut off in the middle of saying something. You said I was so, and then you got cut off.
Well, I was just saying it was great to talk to you because, talking to you in person is so different than reading about you, all the kind of caricature out there and the whole sense of you as being just this one-dimensional person.
And it was nice talking to you too, Steve, after all these years. So
yeah, that's
so,
right.
Bernie Madoff is the greatest financial crook in history, but his voice is familiar to me. Madoff could be the uncle I run into at bar mitzvahs. We have common roots, middle-class New York Jews, and also an interest in the Jets.
Screwing up the game for you.
I got it recorded.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I can breeze through the commercials if I want to. What do you do? Are you near the TV room now?
Yeah, the phones are right near the TV room.
I try to imagine the former chairman of the NASDAQ at a payphone in a cell block, inmates lined up behind him, with prison-made tattoos, prison-honed muscles.
Oh, and you can call at night too?
Yeah, I call up till 10:30 at night.
Prison is not what Bernie expected.
It's not the way it's been depicted. Your rooms, there's no bars on the windows. Wooden doors. They're not locked at night. I have a nice, pretty big picture window. You can't open it, but...
Yeah, I mean, I guess aside from being, separated from everybody and,
it's, you mean my family?
Yeah, you're probably not talking to Ruth right now.
No, it's just, the whole thing is, it's just, I know you'll never go...
Oh, my God.
Time's up. It's frustrating. A call starts, we build momentum. Bernie begins to open up, and then the guillotine falls. Trust is tough to build on a timer, and I need to be the person he will trust with the whole story, at least as he sees it. Bernie lets me know he has a story to tell. He's been misunderstood. I'm a good person, he tells me. He starts with this. His family didn't have a clue. As he tells it, they were victims as well. Ruth, his wife, was never charged with a crime, but as Bernie sat in jail, the authorities seized their Manhattan penthouse, the houses in the Hamptons and Palm Beach, Ruth's mink coats, their Steinway piano, the china, the silverware, even the coffee maker.
I thought that possibly she should have gone to trial on a thing so she could have kept the homes and everything.
Yeah.
And
what did she say?
She just didn't want to do it. She just was so devastated by the whole situation, and she was ashamed of what I did, and she said, I can't possibly live in any sort of luxury when everybody else is in such bad condition. And I understood that.
What's Ruth like when she's mortified?
She's very quiet. I mean, Ruth is a very shy person, basically. And look, we had a very luxurious life. There's no question about that. But that was not what she was interested in. I mean, she would have been perfectly happy if I was a teacher. I mean, that's not the kind of person that she was.
Yeah.
She's too old to work. She's doing some volunteer work, now, sort of keep herself busy. And she kept basically just enough where now she is just going to be able to live modestly for the rest of her life. And, look, we started dating. She was 13. I was 15. I mean, so, look, I guess what they say, for better or for worse when you're married.
Or for better and for worse.
Better and for worse, right. Was she upset with me? Was she devastated? Of course. Was she? Did she feel terrible for my victims? Of course she did.
Bernie insists he shielded his family, nobly kept them in the dark, until the unseasonably warm afternoon of December 10th, 2008.
At that stage, I was sort of in a panic about the whole thing.
He was at his office, Bernard L. Madoff Securities, a family business.
What happened was Andy and Mark came into my brother during the afternoon and said, "What's wrong with Dad? He looks exhausted. He looks terrible. He just looks like he's falling apart." And then my brother came in and he said, "Well, you have to tell the boys. They know something's wrong. They don't know what it is." And I said, "I will. I said, I can't tell them in the office because I'm just going to fall apart. And I have to tell Ruth. She has no idea." So we got into my car and we drove the few blocks. My driver drove into the few blocks to the apartment. Fortunately, Ruth was home.
Right.
We had my Christmas party that night.
They went into Bernie's study.
That's when I broke down and I told him. Started crying and I explained to him what the deal was. I owe all this money out and I'm not going to be able to recover it. And I was crying.
Right.
And Andy, I remember, took me in his arms. He felt sorry for me at that stage.
Yeah.
I don't think it totally sunk into everybody. Mark was standing there in shock, and I said, "Look, I don't know what else to tell you." I said, "But I don't know what you're supposed to do now that I've told you this." So.
And nobody gets angry at that point.
Everybody was stunned. They were shocked. I mean, they were scared and they were shocked.
Right.
Look, you can just picture. One day you think your father's running this multi-billion-dollar business and everything is fine and he's happy and they're happy and then all of a sudden the world comes crashing down. They saw me in tears. The last time I cried like that was with the St. Moles when I found out my son had cancer.
Andrew, Bernie's youngest son, had been diagnosed with lymphoma 5 years earlier. He fought it and recovered fully. He considered changing jobs, but Bernie talked him into returning to work beside his dad, his brother, his uncle, his first cousin.
The family all got along well together, and it was wonderful having them there. I mean, we were a very close family. I was very proud of my sons. They were proud of me, of what I accomplished. They liked being a Madoff. There was a lot of recognition in that. I was respected in the industry before this happened, and they loved that, and I loved having them in the business because they were successful at it. I kept them totally out of the loop. I mean, I didn't want them to be, I couldn't let them be part of the loop, and now all of a sudden they realized that there was this other side that they didn't really know.
As for what happened next?
The afternoon I told them all, they immediately left. They went to a lawyer. The lawyer said, you got to turn your father in. They went, did that, and then I never saw them again.
But he did hear from them again, sort of. Mark Madoff made sure he got the final, heartbreaking word. More after the break.
The afternoon I told them all, they immediately left. They went to a lawyer. The lawyer said, you got to turn your father in. They went, did that, and then I never saw them again.
And didn't hear from them again until 2 years into Bernie's 150-year sentence. His oldest son, Mark, sent a message in the most horrible way.
The chaplain came to get you, and what does he bring you to the chaplain?
Right.
And Ruth's on the phone, and she tells you?
Yeah. I cried for well over 2 weeks after he died.
Mark Madoff killed himself at age 46, hung himself with a dog leash in his Soho loft, while his toddler slept in the room next door. The date, December 11, 2010, 2 years to the day after his father's arrest. To Bernie, Mark's message to him was clear. You ruined my life.
I cried in private because I didn't want to do it here, and if they saw me, they probably would have put me in a suicide watch, which is what they do. They were worried about me. They woke me up every hour on the hour to make sure that I was okay, the guards here. I was a basket case for weeks. And
Bernie told me he still hoped he could reach Andrew and explain. But Andrew's cancer returned. He blamed the relapse on his father's crimes, the stress and shame of it all. Andrew Madoff died in 2014.
I have tears in my eyes when I'm talking to you about certain things, and not a day goes by that I don't suffer. It may sound okay on the phone. Trust me, I'm not okay. It never will be.
Bernie, though, is a survivor. Once he confessed to the largest Ponzi scheme in history, for him, the worst was over.
It must have been something of a relief to finally be able to get this off your shoulder.
Oh, it was. I mean, I wish that I was caught earlier. I was under tremendous pressure. It was an absolute, it was a nightmare, only for me.
Yeah.
So it was only a nightmare for me.
Yeah. I mean, you were looking down the barrel of this for years. I guess you kind of knew it would end up here, where you are now sooner or later.
It's, when I say nightmare, that's a nightmare. Imagine not being able to tell anybody that I destroyed the family. They said, why did you need to do this? And I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I try and figure out here once a week.
Yeah.
The psychologist place. And they, unfortunately, they have wonderful psychologists here, and they're very helpful to me.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Believe me.
That's great.
I have tearful sessions with her every week.
A New Yorker and his shrink, seeking reassurance, searching for answers. Where does a monster come from?
I asked them, am I a sociopath? After I was seeing this, they said, you're absolutely not a sociopath. They said, you have morals, you have remorse.
I came to think of my conversations with Bernie as a kind of session, too. Now he was on the phone relating the story of his life, offering clues to the events, the forces that shaped him. Bernie, tell me about your childhood.
My father built a sporting goods business. He owned a company called Dodger Sporting Goods. Yeah. He invented the Joe Palooka punching bags.
Oh, is it right?
Stand on a metal rod.
Sure.
And he had a big successful business. And then during the Korean War, there was a steel shortage. You couldn't get steel. and his business failed. So, I lived through that. You watch that happen, and you see your father, who you idolize, build a big business and then lose everything. You're frightened about, about something like that happening.
Bernie was determined to attain success, lasting success, the kind that had eluded his father, whatever it took.
I started the company in 1960.
22 years old, he convinces a handful of investors to trust him. Friends' parents, former customers of his high school lawn sprinkler business, clients of his father-in-law's accounting firm.
The first thing I did was I participated in a couple of new issues.
New issues were hot in the 1960s, though without the mad scramble and hype of today's IPOs. Back then there was no CNBC, no computers. With new issues, he thought he'd hit on a money-making strategy.
And then the market cracked in 62 with the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
The whole new issue market went into the tank.
Bernie lost almost all of his clients' money. As he tells it, he was embarrassed. He was in tears. Ruth took him to her father. Bernie begged for a bailout. His father-in-law saved him. Bernie needed a better strategy.
We looked for some place where we could have an edge.
The odds were against him as he saw it. Bernie wasn't one of the Wall Street elite.
Did they make that clear that, you're not in the club? And
Oh, yeah. It was obvious to everybody. Everybody knew it. We were a small firm. We weren't a member of the New York Stock Exchange. It was very obvious.
But Bernie was driven.
Like if somebody wanted to trade 8 bonds,
yeah, right.
Or like a small amount of stock, they said, listen, why don't you call up this guy Bernie Madoff? He's interested in buying this type of stuff. And I was perfectly happy to take the crumbs, the pieces.
Happy, maybe, but not satisfied. Bernie had grander ambitions. He brought his brother Peter into the firm, the computer guy. Together they built systems that automated trading. Technology gave Madoff the edge he'd been looking for. He elbowed his way into the club.
Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney. And between the 5 of us we controlled, it was reported about 50% of all the New York Stock Exchange business.
Oh, wow.
On the floor.
Bernard L. Madoff Securities became synonymous with high tech. With his speedy computers, he executed trades as fast as anyone in the business, making a commission on every share.
Now, I had the technology,
Right.
that showed how to do it. I built artificial intelligence that gave us a good feel for the market.
And the family business flourished.
By the 80s, late 80s, I was quite successful. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I was making at one point over $100 million a year.
Madoff's 2 sons grew up in the home of a Wall Street legend, with all the trappings: 4 houses, travel, a boat or 2. At dinner, they heard stories of Wall Street battles. As soon as they could, they joined their father. Mark and Andrew took the helm of one part of the business, the legit part, and...
my brother basically concentrated on the technology side of the business.
Right.
And I was doing the IA business.
The IA business, investment advisory. The black hole down which everything would eventually fall. At the beginning, it had been family and friends, trusting Bernie with their money, which he reported to them was making money. Bernie thought of himself as the boy genius of Wall Street, who engineered fortunes, massive fortunes, especially for the Big Four.
Levy, Shapiro, Stanley Chase, and Picower.
Right.
These relationships went back into the 70s, and in Shapiro went back into the 60s.
These 4, Norman Levy, Carl Shapiro, Stanley Chase, Jeffrey Picower, older father figures, most of them, were already rich when Bernie met them. But as the earliest clients of Madoff's IA business, they made billions more over the years. Legitimately, Bernie claimed. At least at the beginning.
Well, let's put it this way. Shapiro probably built more hospitals in Boston and put up more buildings in Brandeis University and so on, than you can imagine. Picower had the second largest foundation in Florida. His foundation which I totally invested for him, was, I think $700-800 million.
So basically, you made all that money for him, huh? You made all that money for him. I mean, you're basically the guy behind all this stuff, right?
Right.
Right.
I listened to Bernie's tale. He did the work. They reaped the rewards. About those rewards, were they real? Or was Bernie already doling out other people's money, desperate to appear successful? To investors, nothing mattered but returns. By the mid-'90s, word had spread. People clamored to put their money in Madoff's IA business.
So I opened up the individual accounts of people, and I started taking in these funds.
Hedge funds, bank funds, and feeder funds created to funnel money to Madoff, who pumped out those incredibly consistent returns.
So all of a sudden, if you have all these major banks...
It's flattering. It's flattering, too, all right?
Yeah, of course it is. It feeds your ego. I mean, you say to yourself, all right, all of a sudden these banks, which wouldn't give you the time of day, some of them all of a sudden are willing to give you $1 billion. I had all of these major banks coming down and entertaining me. It is a head trip.
Everyone wanted to be with Bernie. Country club golfers, hedge funds, prestigious banks.
And they said, we're going to start a fund, but we need you to commit to the money. So I said, okay, I think I can do it. Because I thought that even if I started to short some of this stock to them, it would just be a matter of weeks or then months, and I'd be able to recover from it.
According to Bernie, this was the turning point. The market went against him. The boy genius failed. And the deluge of money, that was his undoing. He couldn't move billions of dollars in and out of the market.
My mistake was I just should have left it at that. Instead, these funds just kept on pouring money into me, and it was very hard to turn down.
Irresistible for the young man once shut out of the club.
I mean, I guess the other thing there is, you had a history of, breaking up the country club at the New York Stock Exchange with the market makers, and now in some sense, I guess you're finally getting the recognition from those kind of same people that they need you.
Yeah, that's right. And then it just the whole thing sort of spun out of control.
And so, Bernie's version. The fraud started because impressive people threw money at him. A good person who made a mistake.
My business was a successful business for 35 years. We made a very nice living from that. It was not, if you think that I did this, I woke up one morning and said, well, listen, I want to be able to buy a boat and a plane, and this is what I'm going to do. That's wrong. I had more than enough money to support any of my lifestyle and my family's lifestyle. I didn't need to do this for that. I just allowed myself to be talked into something, and that's my fault. I thought I could extricate myself after a period of time. I thought it would be a very short period of time, but I just couldn't.
And so he tried not to think about it.
Again, I did block it out of my mind.
Right.
I had no choice.
Right.
I would have killed myself.
People did kill themselves. The body count rose. His accountant's son took his own life. A French money manager emptied a vein into a garbage pail in his office late one night, ashamed. And of course, his own son, Mark. He kept calling. I kept listening.
You there?
Yeah. I'm going to cut you off any second. You want me to call you back?
Yeah, absolutely. Call me back.
Okay. You have 15 minutes.
But he didn't call back that night, or the next. I waited. Weeks went by. Finally, I received a letter from the warden's office. I posed a, quote, serious threat to the safe and orderly operation of the institution. Soon after, I received a letter from Bernie. As I'm sure you are aware, the prison has blocked your email and phone privileges. Shut down. But I had my recordings. More than 3 hours of them in total. I searched the recordings for clues, playing them over and over. Something didn't make sense. I was frustrated, perplexed.
By the way, I mean, constructing those monthly statements, that's incredibly labor-intensive, no?
No, the computer does it. It didn't matter if we were doing a legitimate trade or an illegitimate trade. The computer would have done the same thing.
And you don't have to tell it what to print out, what to do, or...
Once you create the trade, the system, the system does it.
But you have to kind of create the trade retroactively, right?
No, it wasn't. The trade wasn't being retroactively. The trade was being done as the model sort of worked.
The model worked? At points, Bernie presented himself as the smartest guy in the room.
I built artificial intelligence.
Other times, a victim.
Even though I did the wrong thing, they betrayed me.
He was merely a pawn in someone else's game.
Everybody was greedy. Everybody wanted to go on, and I just went along with it.
Went along with it? With what? How? Who? Bernie had spoken to me as if he were still a lion of Wall Street, as if that was his true identity, always and forever. In fact, Bernie Madoff was a career criminal. This was his real life, and he'd revealed nothing about it. The life Bernie blocked out of his mind, the life that took place on the 17th floor of the Lipstick Building in a private suite 2 floors below his office, where the illusion was created, the fake statements, the fraud, the frantic race to keep a step ahead of nosy clients, of the law. To understand the monster, I had to get onto that floor, peer into the secret life, down in the details.
Next time on Ponzi Supernova.
And it has all the elements. There's money, sex, there's crazy behavior. He went from Team Madoff to Team America.
What are you talking about? Where am I going to get a bag of diamonds? I'm not paying you in diamonds.
Ponzi Supernova is an Audible Originals production. Hosted by Steve Fishman and produced by Ellen Horn.
Our production team is Kelly Prime and Todd Whitney, with help from Jane Cohen.
Colin Campbell is our editor. Our score was created by Darren Gray, Mike Cruz, and Glenn Kochi. Our audio was mixed by Mike Cruz.
Special thanks to Audible Originals Eric Newsom, Jesse Baker, Vanessa Harris, Beverly C., and Norman Pratt. For more information, go to ponzisupernova.com.
This is Audible.